hit the record button. Might get on your game.
Everyone has a unique gift, and Mike and Diana, host of the One Life podcast, believe that most people don't know how to use their gifts or what they are. Mike and Diana want you to see things from a different perspective and be true to yourself. The One Life podcast unites the world through art, fashion, music, and film. It inspires, motivates, and creates positive energy, love, and compassion to all communities and creates an equal playing field for all. On the One Life podcast, they cover topics like building relationships, overcoming adversity, habits of healthy people, and much more. We only have one life to live. Be yourself and live
Okay, I
your
was like, what
truth.
did we do last
Add
week?
the One Life podcast to your playlist. That's the number one NELife. Available on
talked about the
Spotify,
Harley Davidson
Amazon
one already,
Music,
so I won't
Apple
do that one.
Podcast, and your favorite podcast platform.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to the One Life podcast. I am Mike M.I.C. Reed, and as always, I got my lovely co-host Diana from Socialholic in the building with us, you guys. And today we have Captain Ron Schaefer from the Los Angeles Sheriff Palmdale Station with us today. Thank you for joining us today. But first, let's check in with Diana with the Socialholic Experience. What's going on in AV?
Yes, so I want to give a shout out to Jessica at HT Fitness. She is also the director at the Antelope Valley Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. She has a gym here in the Antelope Valley. It's in Lancaster. She is running a fall savings special, and let me tell you, this boot camp she does it at 5 in the morning, 9 in the morning, and then like in the afternoon. I am dead. Like, I'm so sore today. I've been doing it for 2 weeks. I'm in love. She pushes me, but in a nice, mean way. I don't know how to explain that, but you'll get it if you try it. But she is doing a fall savings. It's from now until the 28th. It's unlimited boot camp core and booty classes for $110 for the entire month.
You said core and booty?
Core, yeah, boot camp core and booty.
So is this a women's class?
No, a man go too. But,
Okay.
hey, I think men need to work on their ass too. I'm sorry, I don't think men should have flat asses, but
It's an
that's just
interesting
my
name, but
perception.
okay.
Anyways, so that I really wanted to shout her out because she's doing a special, but it's an amazing class. I'm having a lot of fun. So
Shout out to Jessica. Yeah, she's an incredible person.
also, Soul Plaza is having their Happy Halloween annual trick or treat, which is Sunday, October 30th from 12 to 6 p.m. Shop if you dare and have a spooktacular time is their tagline. They're going to have free candy, spooky store deals, scarectors roaming the mall. Oh my gosh. Like going to like Universal City or something where they scare you.
Oh, no,
my God,
I
it's
like
going to be
that.
cool. Another thing I wanted to bring up that the Palmdale Water Department is hiring for an executive assistant. So if you're looking for a job, please reach out to them. And last but not least, NAREP AV is having their expo November 2nd from 4 to 8 p.m. So check out their page if you want to get involved. That's the national, I think the Hispanic, oh my God, real estate professional group. Oh my God, Jackie, don't kill me. I'm sorry, Jackie.
Hey, shout out.
I'm sorry.
Shout out to Jackie, man.
I was trying to give you guys a shout out.
National Hispanic Real Estate Professionals.
Yes.
There we go.
There you are. See,
Yeah.
that's why we have them.
That's why we got the captain here.
But it's great. It's going to be a woman empowerment event, and it's for real estate agents. But obviously, everyone's invited. I always go to their events, and I'm an event planner. So just come out, network. We all need to be there to support, our ladies in the market there. But guys are invited too. So.
No, you know what? Shout out to NAREP and Jackie and Jacqueline. They're doing an amazing job. They was at the suicide prevention walk.
Yes.
Her and her husband was there. Captain, that we talked there. You was there. Shout out to them. They're all over. They're doing big things right
They
now.
are, and she's just super amazing, and
Yeah,
I
she
love
is.
all the things they've been doing at NAREP. So I try to go and support as much as I can. So.
Right. Yes, so that was the Socialholic Experience. So this episode is brought to you by Eventually Events, where they create magical moments and take care of every detail so you can enjoy that special time in your life. To book your appointment, hit up Diana at Eventually Events on IG. Also, the Money Market Business Solution, where they help you with your startup assistance. Check them out at moneymarketbusinesssolution.com. All right, you guys. So again, we got Captain Ron Schaefer here with us. So Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, Palmdale Division. How you doing today, sir?
I'm very well.
And thank you, by the way. Thank you for coming.
The pleasure is mine. It truly is. This is outreach is a critical component to law enforcement. Most don't understand that. You've got to engage the public.
Right.
And, community and policing is reaching out into the community and talking to them like their friends, family, and neighbors. It makes a big difference. this isn't something that's depicted on TV shows and movies about law
Right.
enforcement, public safety, and stuff like that.
That's right. You're actually right about that. Like, I don't see that.
Yeah, and when was the last, cop show
Right.
about community policing? It's not there.
Yeah.
A creative genius will build one,
Right.
right? And it'll be super successful. But it does make a big difference. And I've been on the job 32 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I came to California for the job. I'd wanted to come to California. I wanted to get into law enforcement. And I moved west and didn't look back. So,
Where are you originally from?
military.
Okay.
So grew up around the world. Exciting life. It's not for everybody. Just constantly moving. Even today, I get an itch about every 2 to 4 years. I got to pack my bags and move. All
What
right.
branch were you?
My dad was Air Force.
Okay. My daughter's Navy.
There you go.
She's right now in Greece. Actually, she called me yesterday and she's like, "I'm in Crete." I'm like, "Oh my god!" But she'll be back in Norfolk in March. So.
And see, that's the great life because of all the children. 2 in the Air Force, 1 in the Navy, 1 Army. I did Army Reserve. And it is a tough life, and not everybody does adjust well to that moving. So I like the reserve experience, but I like the law enforcement experience more, giving back to the community. And through those 32 years, I've worked all over LA County, and I got to the AV in 2015, and I realized that, wow, a lot of people working here in the Palmdale and Lancaster stations, they live here. They were born and raised here. And it made such a difference on how they engage the community. It really amazing. And so that drive to make sure that we have industry out here in the AV, because nobody knows what it is. Oh, that's just big open space up there. And the more we can have industry up here, the more people, we're a commuter community, right?
Yes.
So many thousands of people jump in their cars, they drive the 14 down to LA to work, and then they drive their way back at the end of the day, just go to bed, get up for the next day.
Right.
The more industry we can have up here, the more the community will be engaged up here. And again, that's it's gonna be a force multiplier, if you will, on improving our community.
Absolutely.
They'll have the time to go to the community events. They'll have the time to go to the children's school events
Right.
and stuff
That makes a huge difference. I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest problem here and anywhere, but is the parents'
Yeah.
interaction with their kids right now. I mean, even me, like we're both me and my husband work, and it's like I'm like, okay, who's picking up Isaac, or something, like it's scrambling every day. So it would be nice,
That's a conversation I actually just had this morning with Andreas, and he actually told me this, the numbers. He said it's around 20% of our revenue is actually going to LA because people go out there to shop, to work, and he's like, that's a huge number, and he said we need to keep that here, like, or at least lower that number, like, significantly.
Yeah.
And government, civil management, if you will, the city management, county management, it's a different animal. Not a lot of people look at it. When they think business, they're thinking McDonald's or a university or insurance company. And municipalities and law enforcement is business. You got revenue coming in, you got expenses going out, hiring, firing people. You got to manage risk and buy supplies and stuff like that. And people lose sight of that.
Yeah.
You need to pay attention to it. It's a great vocation for those that choose to take it on.
Absolutely.
But how they generate their tax revenue out here, again, in the AV is a little bit different. The majority of it comes from sales tax. And you need to have those businesses to thrive. And part of that, our mission, law enforcement mission, is public safety, but we're a partner of the business community. That's why we get into the chambers of commerce and we work with them. Because companies, when they're looking to relocate, they don't want to go to a place that's got a lot of crime.
No, you're right.
Right? They don't want to go to a place that's unsafe to drive. Workers need to get to and from work.
Right.
So it's an interesting animal, interesting thing to be learning about and involved with. So makes the job exciting.
He said he's like,
You age out of the chasing, right? It's like, let me look at the spreadsheets there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can't imagine. But I love seeing, like, especially on Instagram, I always see like coffee with a deputy or something like that. And I think that's amazing that you guys take that time to do that now. How is the turnout for those?
They're really good. We have quite a few people that are regular. They'll come to a lot of the events. In Palmdale, we try to move our venues around to touch multiple parts of the communities. And again, knowing that we're a commuter community and most people have driven to work by 9 o'clock in the morning when we have it. We try to host other events whether it's Dine with a Deputy or town halls and those kinds of events to engage the public. Again, going back to about 80% of the personnel working at the station live up here, born and raised up here. And that engagement with the community is different when you are talking to your friends, family, and neighbors. And the more you can bring that on, the more the dialogue's different, you know, because if you meet with a stranger and they ask a question, you're going to get that PC answer, you know, they kind of stiffen up, straighten up, and it's like, well, the facts, ma'am, are, right?
Yeah.
Versus talking to a cousin or an aunt or a brother, sister, hey, this is really what happened,
Right.
right? And this is how you can be safe. And it makes a big difference. So we try to move it around. We do get to engage a lot of people. It's an opportunity for them to tell us about an issue or a problem they're faced with, or us to tell them about an issue or a problem that's going on in the community. And again, these are ways that you can make yourself safe.
Right. So, you know, well, first of all, I want to thank you because every event I go to, I always see you.
Uh-oh.
Like,
Uh-oh.
no, it's
That's a good thing.
It's a great thing. No, because you're involved. It shows you're involved, you know. And I think the first time I ever heard you speak was at the town hall. I even read your post that day because I think Sheriff,
You know, Wayman?
yeah, I think I butcher his name all the time. But I know he was supposed to talk, but you took over because you said you really wanted to have it.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed that conversation. That was my actual first time at a town hall meeting.
Okay.
So I was really impressed on you, how you handled the crowd today. Like, it was really impressive. But I do want to thank you because of your services and you always just being there in the community. Because I really feel like, and I was talking to you earlier about, you know, how I grew up in the neighborhoods and I kind of got myself out of that. So for you to see you there, and you know, I feel like there's this huge gap between community and policing, right? And we need to shorten that gap because you can't blame the police for everything, right? So when something happens, like I always tell people, like there's always a bad apple in every bunch, right? So just because an incident happens, don't always go say, well, fuck the police. Like, okay, you can't say that. Right, because there's good police, and those are people like we depend on. So, like that's all I just want to thank you, and just for always being out there in the community and just being real. Like I've listened to you and I've watched you with the community, and I could just tell like you're just a real good guy, and I appreciate that.
I appreciate that. You're going to have to send me a link to the show. I'm going to share it with my wife. Look, baby. See? I told you I was a good guy. But, you know, and I do go to places when I do speak, and I ask for permission to be raw and real because sometimes it doesn't come across as politically correct. And, you know, there might be language that's not.
Oh, yeah,
nice.
we don't sugarcoat here.
Right?
When you put on the uniform, you do represent the department, and you know you want to hold yourself to a level of decorum and stuff like that. But life is raw and real.
And, you know, and that's what I tell people. That's why I don't sugarcoat nothing, because I said life is not. So why am I going to sugarcoat for you?
Right.
You can't.
And so people ask you a question. They have an agenda when they ask the question. And it's like, well, let me cut through all that, and let me tell you the real deal, my side, and we'll meet in the middle. If they agree to disagree, then that's what we're going to do. But we're going to collaborate a lot better if we know where we're coming from.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a true thing. So a lot of our personnel, they come from different walks of life.
Right.
And a lot of them love to mentor. They love to mentor children. They want to be involved in that. We do get busy, and you don't always get to spend the time at the call when it's a challenging incident, right? And you got to get on. But a lot of them want to circle back. Hey, you know, we talked. I want to keep this dialogue going. So those public venues are important for us to be able to reach out and touch people. And it does change their paradigm because they're talking with people. You know, you have an experience and you tell all your friends about it. Hey, this was horrible. The sheriff's department sucks. And somebody else has a great experience. I don't know. Mine was wonderful. Right. So the more we can get out there and share and get past that hurdle, the better it is.
Well, people always want to talk the negative, like especially even reviewing a business. They're always quick to be like, oh, it sucked, but when it was great, they forget to go back and say, oh, it was a great experience. And I think that's why it's so important that you guys do those town meetings and the things so that you guys can bring that positivity back and get people engaged with you on a different level, because there is a narrative out there that, oh, you know, don't talk to a cop or don't be friends or don't, you know, they're gonna, you know, do this or do that. And it's like, you got to break that perception.
Right. Absolutely. And, you know, you take a risk when you're vulnerable. You know, when you're real with somebody, family knows. They grew up with you. So they know all the foibles in your life, right? And to be vulnerable with the public, there's a bit of a risk, and you get stung, you get snake bit, if you will. You know, you'll step back a little bit, but you got to get out there, and the relationships will grow because of that. You bring credibility with you too when you're willing to do it.
No, absolutely. And, you know, so like what are some of the programs that you was talking about at the town hall? Because I really enjoyed some of those.
So we
said you had like 6, right?
correct. So community-oriented policing has been around for 30, 40 years. And we talk about it, we train on it, we understand the concepts, but actually putting it into practice is a little more challenging because you're busy with the calls. And so we have 6 projects. We call them problem-oriented policing projects that we're working on. We've actually been working on them for a couple of years. We're having success, but we're going to keep them going because they do touch all areas of life up here. So we have our parks. You see some graffiti in the parks. You have activity in the parks. We got crime guns. Crime guns are prolific. Crime guns in crime, criminal behavior. It's different from the argument about the Second Amendment and the right to own a firearm, possess a firearm.
Right.
Domestic violence, big deal. You know, it's always been with us. The COVID perhaps exacerbated, but it's always been with us. Our budget motels and hotels, human trafficking is an element to that. I always have a Rick Perry moment when I go through my. I always forget one. Right? Okay. Oh, theft and arson. Surprisingly, that's a big deal. And then traffic, driving in the AV.
Right.
Bit of a challenge. Right.
Oh my God. Cause I commute every day and I see these, you know, and I always tell people, I say, all these people that's doing 100 miles an hour, they're going somewhere that they hate going. Like they hate their jobs. They hate their life. You know what I'm saying? They get up late because they don't want to go. But then once they get on the freeway, they're like, oh shit, I'm late. So it's like, it's like, oh my God, slow down,
like
please.
8:15. I had to be there at 8.
Yeah.
So true. And, you know, I see a lot of this stuff when I'm driving my own car. And again, my family drives the same streets that I work.
Right.
And so the mission to keep it safe is real. And my whole career, I've known the AV is horrible for driving. I mean, the number of fatal crashes that we have
Just
here.
this morning, I was like, oh my God. Every day I feel like I wake up to AV scanners at fatality. I'm like, oh my God.
Because I mean, I know one of the reasons because it's the long road. Everybody think they can just go.
Yep. It's they get on the 14 freeway. You know, they're doing freeway speeds. They get off. Our streets are long and narrow, by definition.
You know, when I first moved out here, I was in Studio City working, and I had to come out here to sign my mortgage papers. And I was in the middle of a show, and I was late, and I had to come. And they was like, "You got to come today." I was like, shit. So I came out here, right? And I was speeding. I was on a 14. I was honest. And I got
pulled. You taking him now? No.
I paid for my ticket. I got pulled over. And what's crazy is the highway patrolman was like, you know, I told him what I was doing out here. I was like, hey, I just bought a house. I'm signing my mortgage papers, whatever. And he was like, just to let you know, he is like, we typically don't pull people over unless they're doing over 80 because we understand it's a high traffic freeway, like it's a high speed freeway. And I was like, really? I was like, should you really be telling me this? I can go up to 80. But, you know, I think that's a problem. Yeah.
It's funny you say that because I've had plenty of opportunities to meet the fine CHP officers working in the Antelope Valley. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. On the side of the road. They're great people.
No, they are. And I'm not like dismissing what they're doing or whatever, but I just thought that was funny. He told me.
I think he missed the point that I get pulled over too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah? He didn't get that. I was like, girl, you know who I am?
You know, when I talk to people and they're coming up to AV, they're going to do business, I say, look, if you're on the 14 freeway and you're not doing 80, you're in the way.
Yes.
Please move over to the right.
Yeah.
Right? But it's real. People do drive, and that community, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to have the traffic on the freeway stop because of a wreck, a disabled vehicle, and stuff like that. Again, they get off on our residential streets, our business streets.
And they forget that they're in a resident.
It's long and it's straight, and it's like, hey, I've already been driving for an hour.
Right.
I need to get home. Dinner's on the table, school activities taking place, whatever, and they keep driving fast. That's where our crashes come from, speed and fair to yield. Fair to yield means you're in a rush, right? And that's a big problem. But then, you know, we have the street takeover type of stuff, street racing, stuff that does take place.
I've been seeing that too.
I've been seeing that so much, and it's like, and like whenever I'm like at like the other day I was at BJ's in the mall area, and this guy, and it was late, like 11:30, I was just leaving, and this guy just hauled ass. Like he was at one of the stop signs, and he just took off. And I'm like, dude, people are crossing the street here, like, and families. Like, what are you thinking?
That is a horrible part of the job, and you got to go tell somebody their beloved's not going home.
Right.
Not coming home. You know, whether it's a shooting, whether it's they had a medical emergency, whether it's a traffic collision, the impact is the same.
Yeah.
Right. The traffic deaths, they're senseless. They can be controlled. They can be prevented. And so to address that issue, you know, we're doing the education. We're getting the messaging out to the public. You got to slow down. Wear your seatbelt. Slow down. That 3, 4, 10 seconds that you're saving.
Yep.
It's not worth the life.
Oh, I tell people that all the time. Like, you cutting in and out of traffic. I said, you're not going nowhere.
He tells me that.
Yeah. I'm like, you're not going nowhere. We're going to get to the same place at the same time.
Yeah. You know, I got somebody coming up my exhaust pipe. They're flashing their lights. They want me to get out of the way in my personal car.
Yeah. I was like, it's you in your cop car? That's balls right there.
And then you see him at the next stoplight. You know, it's like, really, dude?
Hey, I'm going to be honest. The other day, I flashed a sheriff department in Santa Clarita. I ain't lying. I did. Because he did, I'm going to be honest, he did something stupid. And I flashed. And I was like, dude, why would you do that? Like, he cut over like 4 lanes. His lights wasn't on.
Yeah.
Just to get off the road. I was like, and he I forgot what kind of sheriff truck. He wasn't in like a regular patrol car. Yeah. Like, dude, what are you doing? Yeah, I flashed.
that part I don't like, because sometimes sheriffs or cops be putting on their lights just to do something.
To get
like to a
somewhere.
restaurant.
Hey, I see that with LAPD all the time, the motorcycle cops.
Heck?
I'm like, you ain't going on no
I
call.
want my lights. I want lights.
It does happen. You know, there's a lot of times that we authorize to drive with the license sirens. It's a risk management thing. We need to know that you're doing that. We usually clear the air, wait for you to get there, and then we'll say, okay, the airway's clear. We can deal with the rest of the radio traffic. So it's important. And there's times, calls you got to get to that haven't been authorized to drive with the lights and sirens. And that's stressful on the deputy, on the policeman, because you know where you got to go and you know why you got to be there. It's just not rising the level of that emergency driving.
Right.
Yeah. So that's tough to do. And what we find is a lot of people will stop right in front of you. The lanes are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, right, from left to right. And so they'll be in that number 1 lane, the fast lane. And when lights and sirens are on behind you, you need to move over to the right and stop, right? This is driver's ed, which they don't have anymore in school. You got to go and hire a company to train you to drive.
They need to do it again.
Yes, they do. So, you know, you're driving with your lights and sirens and somebody stops right in front of you. You can't go around the right of them. Because if they say, oh, I remember my training, let me get over, right? Now they're
they forget the pulling over part. They just stop.
Exactly.
And then all lanes are blocking. You're like, where am I supposed to go?
Yeah, so that just makes it that much tougher, right? As you're responding. But there are times that we'll do some gymnastics on the roadway because we got to get someplace. Usually it's not to eat, but sometimes, you know, you're rushing.
Yeah.
You're trying to fit a meal in and get to the other calls. But for the traffic stuff, we're trying to educate, get the message out what the dangers are of driving. And then we also developed out here in the AV, the Antelope Valley Traffic Safety Task Force. And we'll do some operations. We'll do speed enforcement. We'll do DUI enforcement. And it's an opportunity to educate the public. But it's alarming what we're finding. We do some of these speed operations on the roadways.
Those are like the speed checks or the
Sort of, yep,
Yeah.
yep,
Okay.
yep. You know, so we'll have CHP officers and deputies from Lancaster and Palmdale, and they'll go to some of the highly ticketed, high-speed enforcement areas. Avenue M is a good example. We've picked some others like Sierra Highway, and they'll do it just for a couple hours just to get attention. 85 tickets in 3 hours.
That's crazy.
Right? And speeds of like 80, 85 miles an hour, right? And most people, you turn the lights on, they pull over and it's like, oh, yeah. You know, over time, I noticed my speed went up and up and up and up, and I find myself doing Mach 1 as I'm driving. They get pulled over, it's like, yeah, today's my day, you know. I knew I needed to slow down.
Right.
Thank you very much for the ticket because you reminded me I got to slow down. So, and we've had a lot of crashes, you know, like the aerospace, around the aerospace, workers run into each other because they're racing to get to work.
Right.
It's a sad thing.
It is.
So the education, that's a big thing for us, just trying to remind people.
Yeah.
They know, slow down, drive safe, that type of stuff.
I think it's sad that they pulled out so many programs in school, though, like the driver's ed or just like, you know, regular like home ec and, you know, mechanics. Like these kids, man, like, and we were talking about this before, is that I feel like, you know, what are their opportunities? They should have some skill set before they graduate, not wait till they graduate. Like, okay, now what I want to do, and that's what I think it leads to other things like crime and homelessness and all this other stuff that we could have prevented.
Our community is an amazing community, and we're in a great season right now because the aerospace industry has come back. The opportunity for kids to graduate high school and go get a job where they don't need to necessarily go to a vocational school or go to college. They can still do it, and they can still provide for a family, right? A lot of our parents are now having to chase their kids across the country, right? Because the grandkids, they're chasing the grandkids. The job opportunities, we're in South Carolina, North Carolina, Texas, Alabama, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And we need that industry here. But the city of Palmdale is a great partner that they're thinking ahead, and they want to bring that industry here. Industry, a career, is one that comes with a retirement plan, not a tip jar, right? And again, to be able to have a vocation post high school is great. And you're right, you don't necessarily have to go to a 4-year university to take that on. You're going to need the people that know how to do construction, that know how to do maintenance, whether it's the trades, right? And fantastic opportunities. So there's a lot of mentors out there that want to bridge that gap with the kids.
I want my son, I mean, he's a sophomore, and I keep telling him, like, I don't necessarily need you to know what you want to do when you grow up, because I don't even think I know yet, and I'm, an adult. I'm always trying new things, and it excites me, like I love doing something new and learning something new, but I told him I need you to have some type of plan, like what interests you, and just go try it. If you don't like it, cool, try something else. Like that's not, I don't care. I don't believe in failure like that. But I even told him about, is it the boosters?
Yeah, our service boosters.
Yeah, I even told him about that. Or there was the ones for the Boulevard where it's like, I forget the name of it now, but where they kind of just volunteer their time and learn how different business operate. I was like, you need to do that. Like, you need to get out there. And I think that's so important for our youth. Like, I'm scared for my son. It's different now. I want you to have the opportunities that, every kid deserves. So.
Social media, it can be a negative, but it can also be a positive, because you can get exposed to the world from your phone. And those are great opportunities. The military, sheriff's department, all great opportunities to experience something. And I think adults now, they're having on average 3 careers before they retire, because they'll do something.
You should do what you love. I mean, we always preach that. Do what you're passionate about.
Absolutely. It's not a job. It's not work.
Right. It's not.
Another project that we take on is domestic violence, because that's a big deal. Again, a lot of it comes down to education, right? We do a disservice. We adults, parents, do a disservice, because we read fairy tales to our children. Right? The fairy tale says, hey.
Happily ever after.
Exactly. You're going to face that one little bubble. You get past that one little bubble, and it's happiness ever after, right? And that's not true. That's not a real relationship.
Right.
And we don't. Guys are horrible.
We are. We are.
I've been saying this, y'all. I'm just kidding.
I'm taking you to church right now. I'm taking you to church. Okay, come with me.
Amen.
So women, when they decide to get married, the women are in all the magazines. They got all the resources. Red Book, Cosmopolitan, all that stuff. Hey,
how to save your marriage.
Yeah, here's what a relationship. This is how you know you're in true love, and this is da-da-da-da-da. And guys, we just look at you. No, we look at you. Hey, bro, I'm getting married.
Yeah.
Great, let's go party.
Yeah.
Right?
You're sure?
You sure?
And then the relationships, it hits the sour patch. You're going to get divorced. Again, women are talking to their friends. This is how you rebound. Da-da-da-da. Guys, hey, I'm getting divorced. Great, let's party. Right? And it's terrible.
Told you.
Yeah, I told you not to get married.
Exactly. But it's...
You guys have no one to talk to.
That's what it boils down to, because you can have arguments. It's okay to argue. A lot of times that's how you figure out what your values are, what your principles are as a family. And that's what the family's job is to do, is to instill in their children the values and principles of life. Once they fly the coop, you can trust that they're on the straight and narrow because they understand what your principles and values are. You know, you can be comfortable knowing I did my job, right? So a lot of the calls we go to, people are arguing. It hasn't risen to the level of violence. Violence is a problem.
So you talked about that at the town hall because you was talking about 988.
Yeah.
So I have a good friend of mine who's a doctor, and she works on this huge program that they're doing right now about 918. She's even like she's in Santa Clarita area, but she's
918
actually
or 988?
988.
Did I say 918?
I thought you said, I don't know. I
Oh,
could have
988, yeah. But anyway, so she's expanding that program out here and throughout the whole LA County. Like she works closely with your department.
Yeah.
But you kind of touched on that at the town hall, saying at what point, like you want people for like domestic violence to call 988, right? But at what point do you call 911?
Right. Well, again, a lot of times we get called because they're concerned about their safety.
Right.
You know, the couple, one may get violent, and they're truly worried about their life and their health or family pets that are in the home. They want us there for the safety. I need him to breathe, because if he's breathing, he's thinking, and he's not violent, right? And so once the safety is ensured, then they come back to, you know, I want to keep the relationship. I want it to be good. And so that's where some of the resources that we've instituted come into play. We've got a Clergy Connect program with the city that some of the local pastors will do ride-alongs with us, and they can see at firsthand what goes on in the chaos of the violence, right, of the argument, and they're better able to coach or mentor or guide. Because when they come in a couple days later, if they're coming in for counseling, everything's good. It's like, oh, we don't have problems. We're good. We don't need to talk to you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you do.
The wall goes back up.
Exactly. And so when personal safety is at stake, that's when they're calling us, and they want peace, right? But what couples need to do is they need to have those conversations. How do we argue? First off, how do we argue without it rising to violence?
Right.
And then you set the ground rules. What are we doing? What are we doing financially? Are we both going to work? Is one going to work?
How many kids?
Yeah. What do we do with jobs? You know, if a job opportunity comes up in Chicago and the family lives here, what do we do? You know, do we move, or do we say pick another career? You know, stay local.
So I know, like I said, you talk more about you would prefer people to call 988, right? Because it opens up more time for you guys to get on the more violent calls.
A lot of what that is about is the mental health. You know,
Okay,
so
mental
the
health,
people, it's people that are in a mental health crisis, and that's where it's about. You know, our deputies are good about de-escalating and taking people to those resources when they need mental health care, and that impacts a lot of the calls that we go to. But they're not psychologists, right? And they're not there to prescribe medication. They're not there to say, hey, your problem is this, right?
And I'm pretty sure those calls last longer.
Oh,
So
yeah.
your deputy is there longer than he really needs to be.
And usually you'll have more people there too.
Yeah.
More of the deputies will be there because you got to make sure it stays safe. And then with all those people, you know, you're stuck on that. You can't send a car over to another call.
Right.
But do you believe that domestic violence kind of develops through like mental health issues because it's family trauma? Like, for example, you know, I've had experience with domestic violence for many, like in 2 of my previous relationships, for like 10 years straight. It was because I had so many childhood traumas that I didn't realize was affecting my decisions to stay or leave. So like, had there been a mental health or therapy or something in place for people, maybe the education would have been, you know what I mean? So like, it does start with your mental health and you know, your what you perceive yourself as.
It's a chain, right? It's a chain.
I mean, teach your kids the
crime
same
of-
thing.
They see it, right? And it goes back to, we read our kids fairy tales, right? Well, the guys, they want to be a hero. You know, they want to save the damsel in distress.
Right.
And that may not be the best relationship for them, right? But then again, you see that, and you can talk about the love languages and that sort of stuff. Again, can you dialogue about this before you get into that relationship, before you get committed? Because you can determine whether or not this is good for me or not.
Absolutely.
But then people do see it. If that's what they grew up in, that's what they experienced, that's what they kind of
It's
expect.
normal to them.
Right.
And they'll go from one relationship to another that's violent, right? Until they have that awakening and say, oh, you know, I can be good to me. You know, this is what I expect in my life, and let me get that.
Well, you know, I always say that because I always talk about the family system. Like as a child, we're all part of the we system. So whatever your mom, your dad, your uncles, your aunties, whoever's in your environment, you're growing up under their values and everything and what they know, right? Until you become an adult and you're supposed to now turn into the I system, learn your own values. Because what if you're in a family situation where their values is not really like all that great, which we know, some families are, they're dysfunctional, right? I think we all have a part of a dysfunctional family. But when you get to an adult, you're supposed to be turned into that I system. But a lot of adults are still in that we system. They never became the I system and learned on their own what's right, what's wrong, and how they really supposed to, interact with other people.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that is such a profound truth, right? That how do we get that out there?
Yeah.
If more people knew about it, there'd be more harmony in the world.
Right.
I think it's becoming more relevant though now, especially with the pandemic and stuff, and being mental health not being like this taboo topic. Yeah. It's becoming more like, no, I need, and it's kind of went to the extreme where people are like, no, I'm having anxiety, I can't work, or I can't. Now it's like, okay, y'all, like we gotta still be adults here, but it's to the extreme now. Everyone's like, I'm having a mental health day, or it's about me today. I get that. Like there are self-love and we do need to take time for that. But I think it's just like, there needs to be this common ground that we all need to understand that, we're all just trying to do our best out here. Goddamn. It's crazy.
You're speaking the truth. And again, it comes back to talking.
Yeah.
Right? And saying, look, if we're going to be a team and we're going to work on this business, right? Here's what we need to do. Here's how we get there. Are you as committed as I am to do this? Goes back to the family. Goes back to the school environment. So it's a little pod in so many areas of our life. And if you know how to dialogue and say, look, these are the ground rules. This is what we're going to do. The sky falls, we'll figure it out in the middle of the disaster. But beyond that, here's where we're going. So we can agree to change direction as we move along.
Well, and it's all about taking accountability and responsibility for your actions. Like I was just talking to Andreas earlier about this. Like everything where we at in our lives today is from a choice that we made, right? And we gotta accept that responsibility. It's no one else's fault. Like people sit there and blame people all day long, like they blame the police on everything. That's like, no, it's like you gotta. What was your part in it? Yeah. It's like you gotta take responsibility for your actions, right? And I think people have a hard time doing that.
Yes,
hard time. Right. It's so hard.
But we kind of make it easy for them to do that, and then when you do try to hold them accountable, it just makes it that much more challenging.
Oh yeah.
Right.
But when you come into a relationship and something's not going right, and if you start off with, hey, I'm a big part of this. I goofed this up. If people will open their ears and they'll listen to you. Some will say, yeah, you're right.
Right.
Others will say, well, my part of it is
takes
this.
so much maturity though.
Sure.
And then, your parents aren't, I always thought my parents knew everything when I was growing up. I was like, oh, I listened to my parents, anybody in authority, I was like, oh, okay. And they're just as fucked up as I am. So I'm like, and I tell my kids that now, I was like, hey, don't look at me like I'm this perfect example. I don't have all the answers. I'm still trying to figure life out. I'm just telling you what I'm learning is you need to just follow your passion, be a good person, do the right thing. There's things that you're going to mess up and it's okay. You're not a horrible person if you fail. Like just get your ass back up and try again. So like there's things that I'm learning, but I literally was in this fairy tale that my parents knew everything. They had it all together. Everything they said was right. And now that I'm adult, I'm like, nope.
True. And that knowledge, that awakening, it can be traumatic.
It can.
Right? I mean, it can.
I had to forgive, My mom is in heaven, but I was like, I forgive you. I know you didn't have it all together.
Yeah.
No, you know what? Like, so, and then I've talked about this before on the show. So, like, my mother was murdered at 5 months old, right? And I don't think I've ever told people, like, how, but I think I'm going to say it now on the show. It was from my dad. And he was a LAPD detective from the Rampart Division. So, like, even when, like, that whole Black Lives Matter thing started off with, the cop kneeling on the guy's neck, everybody was saying, fuck the police, defund the police, blah, blah. Like, I could have easily, at a young age, said, you know what, join that and say, fuck the police. I hate the police because of what he did to my mom, right? But I didn't. I have several family members that's in law enforcement. So I know law enforcement they're good people. Yeah, and like I was saying earlier on the show, there's a bad apple in every bunch, right? But you can't blame one incident on the whole organization.
Right.
You just can't. And no matter what situation it is. Right. And I think people need to understand that. And, and that's why I wanted you on the show today, because I've met you a few times and I was like, I got to have him on the show because we need to like shrink that gap.
Right.
You know, we need to, again, healthy conversations, right? So I needed to have you on the show so we can talk about that, because I lived that.
Yeah.
You know, how I was talking to you earlier, my life could have easily turned differently.
Right.
But it was something in me when I was younger that was like, no, you know what, that's not right. And I'm not going to blame a whole organization because of one person's actions. Right. Just not going to do that.
Yeah, I agree with you. And again, we're all from the human race.
Right.
And, you know, one of the easiest things in life for people to do is say no. Right? I need help. No. You know, I've experienced it. I've gone places. I've needed something. And it's like, no. And it's like, wow, you know, this is within your power to help me. And you're just saying no. It's easier
Because
just to
you can't.
deny. Yeah.
Right.
And that's frustrating. You know, when I came on the job, I loved this job so much that I thought everybody needed to be a deputy sheriff. I thought it was just the coolest thing. I thought, man, this is awesome. You need to be a deputy. You need to be a deputy, right? And then as I moved around and got more experiences, I quickly realized it's not for everybody. Because there's a lot of trauma that you experience, and it's heavy, and it can mess you up, right? But you're also bringing your life experiences with you to that, and it doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
Not everybody fits that one mold. The mosaic of the nation, the city, is more beautiful with the differences. You know, it's a great thing. So it's not a calling for everybody, but then not everybody views the job the same way or gives the same passion to the job.
Right.
So if you form an opinion based on that one experience, you're missing.
Yeah.
Right? But we do it. It's a human.
It's natural to do it,
yeah.
but it's good that you rose above it, and we're like, no,
Correct.
like we're all human, you know.
Yeah.
So
And that's where, if you do have a bad experience, we've got systems in places that call the watch commander. Tell the watch commander, hey, you know, I had a bad experience. I got pulled over. It wasn't good. Or I called somebody to come to my house, and it just didn't go well. You know, can we talk it out? And we do those kinds of things.
And also this goes back to what I was just saying about taking responsibility for your actions. Like even like I said, when all that stuff was happening, right? Like I was really watching, and I know some people are gonna disagree with this, but I was watching one incident where this guy was on the sidewalk yelling at I forgot what law enforcement it was, but they was arguing whatever. They was trying to get him into custody for whatever reason. I forgot the reason, but he ran. And then ran into his car and reached for something, and they shot him. So, and again, I know it's going to be a lot of political talk about this, but my whole thing is, why'd you run? Why'd you not just now give them a reason? So take responsibilities for your action. Don't just say, oh, the police shot another black guy. No, look what he did. Like, put yourself in their situation. What would you have done? Like, exactly. That's a split second. Like, you don't know what he's reaching for. So people don't look at things from a different perspective and be like, okay, let's really take this step by step and look at what really happened.
well, there's so much to that, though. I mean, I was just watching Don't Judge Me, the Jeffrey Dahmer thing. I was so mad at Mike. My husband's his name is Mike too, and I was like, why did you have me watch this? Like now I'm like, oh my God, the injustice. I was so mad. But like that's hard. Like you're raised in the type of mindset where like if you're of a person of color, sometimes you are treated injustly, right? Yes, I get that, and at the same time, I'd be like, I don't want to go to jail. Like, what if they try to frame me for something? You know, in that type of mindset, in some people's communities, education is not available, and so they're just going off of what their parents and their experience with things, right? So maybe him, I don't know, he was like, I'm not going to jail, so I'll do whatever I got to do. Where it's different, right? So me, I'd be like, what do I need to do? Like, I didn't do anything. I'm explaining. I'm not afraid to talk to you. Right. I don't know other people's experience. I am so oblivious and naive. My father was black, my stepfather, but he didn't educate me on racism. He didn't educate me on what he went through as challenges and tribulations as a colored, a person of color. And I don't experience it. I never have really truly experienced racism, even though I'm Hispanic. I've always felt accepted. Very seldom that I've ever like, that was weird. And everyone's like, that's because you're Mexican. I'm like, no, it's not. I never really understood it, but I could understand why someone might make decisions. That's why. I feel like a lot of that was because maybe in his mind was like, if they arrest me, I'm going to jail and I'm never getting out. I could understand someone making a decision. The education is what we need. We need to be educated. I try now to be educated in all aspects of that, because I was like, I never understood what people are going through, and I was so oblivious, and I was so mad
know
at
what?
myself for that.
You're right, and I know you want to touch on this because you're 100% right. It's what we was talking about earlier about people being just kind of locked in their own environment, right? And if they've never been outside of their environment, that's all they know. That's all they live. So
It's
yeah,
like
he got
survivor mode.
survival mode, exactly.
Yeah.
So I get that. I totally understand, and
I
I'm not trying to
understand what you're-
dismiss.
no, I
I'm
understand
not
what
to
you're
dismiss
saying,
that.
too. Like why you chose to go in your car and
Right.
reach for something. That was your action that caused someone else to react.
Right.
And so it's just so fucked up because you
Yeah.
can't.
It's like a double-edged
You
sword.
can't. Yeah, exactly.
So, you talk about bridging the gap, and a lot of times it's education and having those conversations. If they understand law enforcement, the goal is to make it safe.
Right.
Let's make everything safe right now so we can talk. It's chaotic. You don't know. Did you call us? No, somebody else called us. So you don't know why we're there.
Right.
We know that we're responding to a call or we saw something that requires. So we want it to be safe. People running away, that's not safe, right? So we've got to restore control. Sometimes that requires force. We've had people get arrested, and they're in the jail cell, and we're talking to them, and they're going, wait a minute. The only reason I'm in jail is because I ran? Yep. If you would have stopped, we would have been able to talk to you. We would have been able to clear it up right there.
You'd have
on
went
your
home.
way. No problem, no harm, no foul. You get pulled over for speeding or whatever. If we have a conversation and you say, I
I
realize.
cry.
New car, that's good.
I cry.
Make
I'm
'em
so
laugh.
sorry. Please don't.
Make them
I'm
laugh.
so sorry. Make them laugh.
Secret is make them laugh. Make them laugh. Because you deal with enough stress. If you can make them laugh, you'll probably anyway. But again, the fear of, hey, why did you stop me? Right? And that argument is taking place instead of let's make it safe. If you can say, hey, I got a new car, I didn't realize it'll accelerate like that, whatever. Have a nice day. Slow down. Pay attention. No ticket, right?
Read your manual.
Possible. Yeah. But then on our side too, do we have that cultural experience of the life? Hey, that person's going to run away because they're really afraid to go to jail. They've been told all their life, if a law enforcement officer contacts you, you're going to jail.
Right.
And then you're done. And that's not true. And if you understand that, it's like, I see that behavior. I know what that is. I need to make it safe for that person too.
Right.
And that means talking
That's so
more.
much weight on your guys' shoulder, though.
And it's quick.
It is.
You
Like,
know,
you have
and-
to be quick on your
Yeah.
thought process to know the difference of situations.
So bridging that gap
Yeah.
is critical, and we do it through dialogue. The more engagement we have, the more opportunities we reach out. Some of the populations hardest to get a hold of are the kids.
Yeah.
Is the young population,
It is.
and so we do try to do youth events. We got a youth summit going on right now, and again, it's just talking to them and letting them understand.
I was talking to a gang member. 'Cause I told you I grew up kind of in the hood, and I still go back every now and then just to have conversations with people, and they're proud of me from getting out. And I try to check in on people every now and then that I grew up with. But I was having a conversation with somebody, and I actually asked them, will there ever be a day where we can get this gang thing under control? And it was a female, and she was like, actually no, because there's so much blood that was spilled. Those roots go so deep. I don't think I believe that, but I don't know what's your opinion on that. Like, do you think we can get that under control? Because it's just so much violence that it's
Unnecessary.
yeah.
The tragedy is we're living in a fallen world. It's human.
Right.
And when the enticement is there for money, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, people can sit back and have the conversation. What are you fighting over?
Right.
Here you got this block. You don't own the home.
I say that all the time. I say,
You rent the home. What are you fighting for? We have nations that will fight over countries.
right.
And
What's that?
they say it's a national security. That's why we're at war. But you're telling me it's neighborhood security, and that's why you're at war. Somebody walking through.
Right.
There's illegal money, illicit money. It's fast. It's plentiful, more than most people see. That's the avenue sometimes they choose to take. And if the opportunity is there to do it some other way, would they choose it? Behavioral economics, it's a real deal.
Yeah.
People will operate in their own self-interest. It's primal,
Yeah.
and how do you impact that?
It's true. Yeah.
Hopefully it at least die down a little bit.
Yeah, and we have
It-
seasons.
yeah,
It ebbs and it flows, and Things good.
I think inflation has definitely affected that, though, right? Like,
Oh yeah. I mean, it's how
gas. Oh my god! Like, I went to. I was like, this sucks, you know. I can't imagine if I was a single mom back, in the day, and I can imagine being that now, like the struggle.
Right. And a lot of people want utopia. Utopia doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking people, right? You got to deal with people, and as a result, the fairy tale is not real.
Right.
So you gotta do what's right, right? You
Right.
make a level playing field, have businesses that can exist and thrive, not these artificial favoritism. I mean, there's so many things that it touches, right? And we're just here to keep the peace and have everybody get along, play along.
So I wanted to kind of, we're going to run out of time in a little bit, and I want to be respectful for your time, but I want to touch on a couple of things real quick. So one of your programs is about guns. So this is just my opinion. So because I want to be clear, like this is only my opinion, because I could be wrong, right? But whenever there's a school shooting, right, which those are really unfortunate, people always they start yelling out gun control. Right. My thing is, isn't this a mental health thing? Like, why are they grabbing a gun? Like, let's have that conversation and fix that. Because if we can fix that, then we won't have to talk about gun control. Because I do believe everybody has the right.
Killing random people put you off. Like, I mean, what is that fixing? Like, that's mental.
Right.
Shit right
But
there.
they always yelling out gun control, gun control. It's like, it's
They
not
had
gun
access
control.
to guns, and maybe the parents aren't as responsible. I mean, I don't agree, because I think, we should be able to have our own protection.
Right.
If you're in sane mind,
Right.
And you're not, but.
And so the issue of the crime guns is different from the Second Amendment, right? There's a mission and purpose for the Second Amendment, which is real. I personally, Ron Schaefer, feel that everybody that can legally own a gun, responsible,
Right.
should have a gun, right? It's a right in the nation. It's part of what keeps us free as a nation. Now, you advance it forward to this issue of people picking up firearms and going into schools and shooting things
Or
up.
anywhere.
That's bad, right? But there are systems in place that we're supposed to be able to find those people. We're supposed to detect them and prevent them from doing those bad things. And they truly are awful. And we had one in Palmdale. And again, why the person chose to act out that way, they're trying to get attention. When there's an incident, you worry about the copycat. The person that picked it up say, hey, this is how you get infamous. Not famous, infamous. You go out, hey, I got a problem. I'm going to go shoot people. That's bad.
Yeah.
Gun control isn't the answer, because they'll find another method. Look at Europe. They got a lot of gun control there. You got people picking up knives and using trucks and, driving into farmers markets and stuff like that.
And that's why I hate when the media highlights just the gun control. Because like you said, no, it's not just guns. People are stabbing people. They're using bombs. They're using cars, vehicles now to go into crowds. It's like, it's not gun control.
It's mental health.
It's mental health.
Right. Yeah. If that was the primary focus, I think a lot of our issues, even gang issues, would be not eliminated, because I don't think that's I don't want to say it's a possibility, but like that's just not like realistic, right? Because there's just imperfection and whatever. But I think mental health would make a huge change.
Right.
And it's people listening, right? Because homicides and suicides do not happen in the moment. In other words, that person didn't pick up the rifle, go to the school, and start shooting, right? There are tells. They tell people, they mention it, they say something, and you've got to be in tune to that. And when you're in tune to that, then call the authorities or find a way to get help.
Doesn't it lead back, though, to the same circle of like, let's say, I'm struggling and I'm talking, but you're dealing with your life. You've got your own challenges and issues. You got your life, your own challenges. And I'm talking, but y'all are in your own world. It's to deal with it. So you're dealing with mental health. You're dealing with mental health. I'm dealing with mental health, but no one's listening to me. And I go crazy. Right. It's nobody's fault, but I was maybe trying to talk to people. So I just, honestly, I truly believe it goes right back to mental health.
It does, yeah. You're right.
And now, we deal seriously with these threats. When they come up, people will mention it to us. Hey, my son heard students talking and making that statement. Don't come to school. I'm going to shoot it up tomorrow, type of thing. And they think it's a joke. But that statement, threats about schools, violence at schools, that's like mentioning a bomb on a plane now.
Yeah.
That's not humor
funny.
material, right? And a lot of resources get devoted to looking into it, identifying who said that.
I
Where's
feel like every week though, there's a school that's locked down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my son's school got locked down. I was like, that's it, you're going to home study, but that's not the answer either. But it's so scary. Like we were at, I mean, you know that I went to the Friends and Family, Friends and Lovers concert in Vegas, and they had that scare, and we ran for our life. And I'm like, I still have PTSD, by the way. I was like, oh my God. And we got injured. I mean, my husband's leg got squished into the fence, like from trying to run, because like this mass like stampede came, and it was crazy. And it ended up just being like not a stabbing, or somebody was with a gun, but I mean a knife. It wasn't even a shooting, but like just someone saying live active shooter caused 5,000 people to run, and that was trampling people, and that was scary for, you know what I mean? It's just ridiculous how that is now.
And, you know, that's not something to joke about. We work with the schools to get that message out to the student bodies, because you find the child, you find the student, and it's like, nah, I was just trying to be funny. It's like, oh, you don't know what you put in motion.
Yeah.
And we're usually finding them at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, waking them up. It's like, what's this all about?
And do they get fined or anything?
Yeah, there's reporting, and there's other things that we do about it. Yeah.
But like you said, and I tell people this all the time, like no one wakes up in the morning and just say, you know what, I'm gonna be an asshole today. Like it comes from somewhere, right? And that's where I always preach healthy conversations. Like if someone's being an asshole, I always say, well, let's talk about it. Like, because I want to find out where that comes from. Because now I can deal with you differently. It's just a different dialogue now, different conversation, right? Better conversation, because now I understand why you are the way you are.
Right.
Now I know how to approach it.
Yeah, exactly. Again, very profound. It goes back to talking.
Yeah, it's always
And
conversation.
Many times people aren't willing to take that time, because it does take time. It takes a lot of energy.
It does.
To, you know, again, be vulnerable and say, that doesn't sit right with me. You know, can we fix this? And if it's not something fixable, can I work with it? And then you move forward.
So another thing I wanted to just talk on, because Diana and I are both directors with the AV Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and you know we obviously work with businesses, local businesses, and all businesses really, and we work closely with the department. I know you're a big advocate of that. What are some of the things that we can do as just business owners, like to help with the community and the policing?
It's helping to spread the word. You know, you have different events. I used to work at another location. It was called the Business Alliance Program, and it was a liaison between the city, the department, and the businesses. So when crime trends came up that affected the businesses, be able to put it out, whether it was a geographical issue, like this neighborhood is getting it, or this industry is getting it, share that information. The businesses are wonderful out here. They're very supportive. We'll have different community events and stuff like that. They'll support it, whether it's financially or resources, water, food, all those kinds of different things. Whenever we have events, we have different car shows, or we'll have just different public venues. We try to bring vendors out here. It's a chance to showcase the city, the businesses that are there, the nonprofits that operate in the community. It's great to have them out there, because we want family-friendly events.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, we know we're a commuter society. They're spending all that time away from the family. Why do you want to host an event that's adult only?
Right, that makes sense. Yeah.
Bring the family. That's why I love our car shows. The kids are out there having a good time, mom and dad, if they're car enthusiasts, or they just want to see what's out there and they want to be together and get some good food and things like that. It's awesome to do.
I love that you guys support that too. And I know we just had DJ Craig on, and he does a lot of your guys' events.
Absolutely.
Too.
Yeah, wonderful.
So it's great to have that tight-knit community feeling.
Right. And again, it's an opportunity for the business to showcase what they do, what their wares are, and a lot of nonprofits too that are working.
There's a lot out here too. I just started realizing that working with the chamber, I'm like, I help assist them with the Instagram, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like there's just like so many things going on. I had no clue.
What was really fascinating is last year the city, Palmdale, put on a wellness lab, and you completed it. It was like a collegiate program, several months long. And you completed it, and you earned a certificate in applied positive psychology. And a lot of the first continuum involved a lot of the nonprofits. And they got in the room and they were talking, and they go, "Oh, I didn't realize you were here. I didn't realize this is the area I work in, or you're a supportive agency to what I do. It's great to be able to collaborate.
Right.
So they realized very quickly, there's a lot of us out here. We don't communicate. We don't know who else is
Gotta
working in our
connect,
space. And that was really cool.
And that's why it's important for, people to kind of, attend our luncheons. Like you're always there. And, because like I said before, we work hand in hand. We work as a team. And it's our responsibility to be the example with the community, because it is our community. And it's going to start with us, the business owners, the law enforcement, to make this community better.
Right.
But,
fascinating thing again about Palmdale. I'm always doing commercials for Palmdale. they pay the
Palmdale
rent.
City.
Yeah, they pay the rent. Right? So,
We'll be sure to tag.
that's right. But they, they just created their general plan for 2045. They're looking 20, 25 years into the future.
Right.
What do we want our community to look like? And how do we get there in the interim? And when they started building it, doing the workshops, and people were saying, hey, we need more homeless shelters. We need more mental health. I'm going, time out. Are we still going to have homelessness and mental health in 2045? Or are we going to have solved that problem by then? That's the goal.
Right.
Let's slough off the bad stuff. Let's grow the good stuff. Bring those industries out here, again, that will help us to thrive. Right. We have a $1 billion blank canvas here in the AV. All the vacant land. We can shape this community to be what we want it to be.
Exactly.
That's where we need to be working and moving.
I love that.
I love that too.
Very much so.
Because there's just needs to be more things out here, and like you said, for families. I mean, my biggest thing is like we don't have like a drive-in theater. We don't have the roller skating anymore. There's so many things that we have to physically drive out of the area for, when we should have it here. And I know that somebody said there was a roller skating rink here, and I'm like, what happened? Like, why aren't we doing that? And just kind of having more maybe security or something to make sure that we keep the bad out. Right. But I feel like if we had more opportunities for our youth, then they wouldn't need to do things that they shouldn't be doing. They'd be distracted.
You hit on a topic that's a hot topic, throughout society with our current DA, right? Everybody wants to complain about that one guy. Hey, what's this one guy doing to make our community less safe? Whether it's his ideals about judicial reform, law enforcement reform, and stuff like that. And I say, yeah, okay, those policies could be bad. We'll figure it out. We'll find out. We'll know when his tenure is done, or whatever the case may be. But what we're experiencing right now is individual people are choosing to make bad decisions.
Right.
Right. It's not a mistake. It's intentional.
Yeah.
And they're coming back and doing it again because of those policies, right? How do we fix that? It comes down to that behavioral economics I mentioned. People are saying, I need to go and steal that stuff because it works for me. It doesn't work for everybody else. Everybody else has to pay that cost.
Right.
How do we change that mindset? How do we make it so that me being a good citizen, a good resident, go get a job, pay for what I want, right? Spend the time with the family.
Feels
do those
much
things.
better. Trust me.
Yes. It's more rewarding.
You feel like, okay.
It's primal,
Yeah.
right? You have success. It's like, ooh, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's very cool. This program, the businesses that are out here, they're a big part of that. It's tough. It's tough to be an entrepreneur.
Oh God.
Oh my God, yeah.
What is that meme on there? Was like, I quit my 9 to 5 to work 24/7, and I love it. Like, oh my God, I'm dead.
But again, how's that bit depicted in the movies? They've got the same bad rap that we do. That it's all cool. You're going around in a private
traveling. I got the live money in my account. I wish, y'all. I wish.
I wish.
Every day was a party, right? No. Work's got to get something done somehow, some way.
But I can't tell you how exciting it is to do your own business. And when someone books you, or because I do event planning, when someone books me, like literally we do happy dances, like, oh my God, like it's exciting, and you just feel so like, man, like all those crazy hours, it doesn't matter at that point. You just feel rewarded, like, wow, someone like trusts me, like me. Oh my God, like literally, I feel that way all the time. Like, really, you want to hire me? Okay, cool.
You can't get that in a drug.
No.
You can't get that by violating somebody else. No. It's magical. And it's really cool. I truly appreciate the entrepreneurs. They're the heroes of the economy.
Thank you. Thank you so I like him.
I want to get invited back.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I mean, no, because like I was telling Jacqueline from You Are Enough Foundation.
Oh yeah.
Like I was just telling her, like, you know, I think I even told you this at one of the places I saw you at. And we did have these conversations all the time, like not just once a year or whatever. Like we need to continue to have these conversations. So no, I would love to have you on, like, you know, however long, you know, once a month, once every other month, just to, because it's all about again going back to communication. You know, because I have a platform, Diana has a platform, and the more, you know, we get out there and the more we talk about it, the more people that's, you know, ears is on it, it's going to be better for the whole community.
And
I love that you're on the with the chamber though. I mean, you know, and you come to the luncheons and stuff, and we have our mixer coming up. I hope that you can attend to that too. It's I think the 18th, no, the 21st.
Ooh.
Anyways, it's
I'm bad
at
with dates.
HT Fitness with Jessica.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's
yeah.
the 21st because
No, the 18th is our meeting.
okay, so the 21st. But like, I love that you get involved because you know we're always trying to take pictures and everything and post, and especially on social media, like it needs to be like we are a family, we are a community, and it's okay. You know, like we all work together, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, inspire the dialogue, inspire the conversation. You're gonna build bridges.
Because y'all a lot of fun.
Well,
I do a lot of weddings for the sheriffs and stuff, and you guys are so much
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
fun. Like,
I heard you guys be out there boogieing on the
Yeah.
damn.
some do. Some
they do
Not
some
me.
good dance, and I was like, "Look at y'all get down!" And like, whenever the guys was a groomsman, so rehearsal, he had to take off because he got a call, and I was like, you know, I'm trying to plan a wedding here, but it was cool, like to see a different side, because you know, there's a narrative, and I'm like, y'all are just regular people. I love it. Like, it made me feel so good to start working, you know, closer with the
that's great.
families and stuff like that.
You know, it's kind of a shock, and again, it'll cause people to engage more. It'll change that paradigm. It's that,
Right,
it's that
yeah.
flash, right? It's like, I thought he was a jerk, but no, jerks don't act like that.
Oh, yeah. And then you get to see a different side of people, and it's like, oh, like I feel like relative, like I can relate to you, which is nice. And then that changes that whole wall goes down.
Yeah, we're people.
Yeah.
Yeah, people just like everybody.
not a
else.
robot.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Hey.
You know, we've got we experience things, we see things are very traumatic, you know, and in order to function, sometimes you got to suppress that. It goes somewhere. You know?
But you're not above the
Oh no.
you know, like you probably, you know, you've gone through family things, I'm sure, you know, and you're married, right?
Yep.
I'm sure you've had marriage, you know, issues. No one's perfect. So like to know that it's people don't realize that. Like you're just like us. You chose to be a public figure and help out the community, and that's the only that's a different.
Exactly. And again, it goes back to Sir Robert Peel in 1820, 1829. He came up with the principles of law enforcement, what it is. The public is the police, and the police are the public. Law enforcement is just paid full-time to do the work. Everybody's responsible for public safety. Everybody's got a piece of it.
I think
But
we
we're
forget
people.
that.
Yeah.
We do forget that. I mean, we put so much on you guys, but it like I was saying earlier, it's our community, so we're a part of that. Like, so
See
we have
something,
to
say something.
we have to take again responsibility for our actions and do our part.
Right.
That's how we're gonna be successful.
Exactly. So love building the bridge, love talking to the community, you know, dragging the deputies out. It's a learned behavior, if you will,
Right.
you know, to feel comfortable and to suspend your wall,
Yeah.
right? To be vulnerable and engage, because you find a lot of great people out here.
Well, you know, real quick, I know I said I was going to end this, but there's
But
so
he
much to
liked you
talk
too
about. The nightlife out here, because something that she touched on earlier. You know, it's great that we do a lot of family stuff, but the life out here, because I know, and
I
again,
like to go adults only. I'll be honest.
yeah, but I mean, a lot of times, it's a couple of things. Like, everybody that goes to LA, right, to do nightlife out there, they're drinking, right, and then they got to come home. So that's another safety issue, right? But then there's also a safety issue out here where a lot of businesses, don't want to partake in the nightlife because of the problems that it brings. Right. Like what?
I mean, there's a bad rap here. And,
It is a bad
and
rap here.
Unfortunately, because we do karaoke a lot, and it's hard because sometimes places aren't,
Yeah.
Safe.
And see, that's what the businesses have to take into account. And that's why you find there's not a lot out here. In LA, Hollywood, they figured out a system and they've made it work. And as a result, people are attracted to it that want that event.
Right.
And it makes it hard out here to do that. Again, it comes down to individual choice. If people would be responsible, for the most part, we're drinking, right? Because they
Uber.
Yeah, they get the liquid courage, and then all of a sudden they just
Or
act
more
a fool.
security. I think places need to consider really getting that security under wraps so that those people that do want to make bad decisions aren't even allowed even into the parking lot at this point.
Right.
And I think that's the difference with LA is that there's so much law enforcement just everywhere that they're like, oh, heck no, I ain't trying to do that right there. Because I always, there's always a security, there's always this. And they shut it down so quickly. I think here people have more opportunities to do that. And a lot of businesses can't afford to pay for security. So it becomes an issue. And it's just, I have friends that were like, oh, we're going out, we're not staying here. And I'm like, dang, I don't want to drive. That means one of us can't drink, Which one is it,
And, so DJ Craigie C made a good point when we was talking to him last week, because he runs schooners in Lancaster. So he made a great point to say, you know what, he keeps his parking lot very lit. The most important thing that he said that I love so much is he said him and his security knows how to communicate with the people. Right. Like, so if they sense something's going on, he knows how to go over there and de-escalate it and say, hey, you know what, today's not a good night. Let's shut it down tonight so we can have it better tomorrow. Like, that made so much sense. It's like, it's opposed to going up to somebody, get out of here, get. Like, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause now you're escalating. Because now you're pissed off.
Especially
They're
a
already
drunk
pissed off.
person
Yeah.
or someone that maybe is on drugs,
how they're
going to react.
And then he said he has cameras everywhere, So I think those three things are important, because I was even at I'm always out. Like she said, we do karaoke a lot, but I go out a lot more, and I visit a lot of more established. That didn't even make sense. I visit more establishments than Diana do, probably, just because I support people and I have a lot of friends that always wants me to go places. And I'm like, all right, but I do try to leave. I'm gonna be honest with you. I do try to get out of there by like 12:30, 1 o'clock, because I know after 1 o'clock, that's when the crazy start kicking in, and I don't want to be around, right? But as far as like law enforcement, like going to some of these places, like everybody know 1:30, 2 o'clock they about to shut down. Right. Do you guys have something in place where you guys like go and like just got to do a drive-by to let people know, like, hey, we're right here?
We do. We do patrol checks. It just depends on the volume of calls, things that are going on.
So there's like a wait for a call versus just a regular schedule to be there.
Right. Yeah. So we cruise by. And again, you try to work with the businesses ahead of time. Some of the things you talk about, it's called crime prevention through environmental design. How do you get access into a location? Is it lit? Or can more people look and see what's going on and alert to a problem? Those kinds of things. So we try to work with the businesses ahead of time, and then it reduces that footprint of us needing to be there, because they can take control of it.
What's like educating them, like what they need to have in place in order for things not to happen?
Exactly. And again, it becomes part of the business model. When you have your patio burned down because somebody acted a fool, knocked over a heater, you're either going to say, this is not for me, or how do I manage that risk and keep that from happening, right? And it goes into bringing your people on so that they're well-trained to de-escalate and make the problems go away.
Right. I mean, I would like to see the nightlife out here, with less problems, because I don't think, like, because a lot of my friends always saying, well, we just going to go to LA, but it's like, we all like to drink. Like, that's dangerous. Like, no one wants to be leaving a club at 1:30, 2 in the morning in LA and got to drive all the way out here to the AV. Like, so 45-minute drive. And that's just dangerous.
Or get a room.
I quickly did the math. That's kind of fast.
45 minutes, I know. LA, that's about an hour, man. I'm not going to say nothing.
Okay, wait.
Takes me an hour and a half, sir.
Well, not LA. You know what? Every time.
But you're making a great point, right? And
He might sound like Rita.
Oh, okay. I go back to some of the places that I've been, and I'm out with people, and it's like, it's a race to get drunk.
Right.
Hey, I've already had 3 drinks. We've been here 15 minutes. What are you doing?
Right.
Are you here to entertain and soch? Or are you here just to...
It all goes back to mental health and how we're dealing with life.
Yes.
I had somebody call me last week.
Today.
She called me at 6:30 in the evening. She's like, I'm already drunk. I was like, are you serious right now? She was like, yes.
5 o'clock somewhere.
And I was like, I haven't even left the house yet.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That was fun.
And so, some people that go out and they treat the entertainment that way, there's something else going on. And if you can fix that, because aren't we together? Because we haven't been able to check up with each other for a while, and we're going to have fun and
How
do
am I
what it
supposed
is
to talk
we're
to
doing.
you if you're drunk? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Are you going to remember what we said? Are you going to remember what you promised me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Those kinds of things, right? So some of that needs to be fixed too, right?
Does.
But yeah,
It
you're
does.
right. It'd be nice to have, again, local activities that people can be engaged in, because you won't be out until 3 a.m. when you got to get up and go do stuff the next day.
Yeah.
I do feel like we should have more like you said, security, but also having like that presence of like Ubers just waiting for you.
Yeah.
And have those announcements. Hey guys, if you had a little too much drink, make sure you take that Uber out there. Or maybe like, I know there was one place out here that actually paid for the Uber. I forget what time that was, but it was like a moment, like I don't think it was after COVID or during COVID, but like they actually paid if they felt that they were too much, like, here, just do this.
And again, the businesses take that on as model. If you're coming and you're going to overdrink and get in a crash, that's bad for us, right? So that becomes part of the business model. But the apps are out there. There is no excuse now to drink and drive because the options are so plentiful out there. Some locations have actually gotten the little alcohol screening devices, the ones you blow into.
Oh, yeah.
It'll tell you,
Ruben has one of those in theirs.
Yeah, so you blow on that thing. It's
There's
like,
the bartenders
don't
are
drive.
pretty. I mean,
Yeah.
they should be on that too.
Sure.
Like, give you
And
some
they get
water
training.
this time,
And they get training on what to watch for, and so that they don't overserve.
I feel like out here though, especially with like the economy, a lot of people come like they pregame it.
Right.
So they already come already at a certain level, and then it's hard to, especially when you got a packed place. That's hard to kind of know like, oh, you seem a little off already. Like, so I get it. There's a lot of issues that need to be addressed.
Yes.
Yeah. Again, it's all part of the conversation. and
No,
figuring out what's
it
what.
is. I've seen, and I'm not gonna like say no names of businesses because I support a lot of businesses out here. But I've seen some stuff in some of these restaurants that was like, it's a money thing for them.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like they don't even care. It's like, are you serious right now?
It's sad.
But you have some of the bigger venues down in the basin, and they have problems.
Yeah.
And they know they have problems. People are waking up the next day and it's like, I think I was violated. Right. And so that's an issue they got to deal with because they become liable too. The last place I remember is this.
And a lot of businesses don't know that if I leave your establishment drunk and now I cause a fatality down the street,
Business is responsible.
you're responsible.
Yeah. They get looped in. 'Cause who are they going to? Are they going to you that has no money, the driver, or are they going to go to
The business.
the business that's got money, right?
Right.
They're going to put blame, right? They always
Yeah.
want to put blame, and so they'll backtrack it. And again, that's what alarms some of the businesses. We're great to have nightlife because it is an element out here that's nice to do every once in a while. Some people more often than
That's
others.
that loop though that we were talking about. Like literally, like you have a business, something happens, that business goes away. There's no nightlife. People are driving to LA, driving. It's like
Right.
there's just like pattern we have to fix.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's it for you. That's it.
You probably
have to go and do
some
fun really stuff appreciate
No. Thank you, Captain Ron Schaefer. I mean, we truly
awesome.
appreciate it. Definitely want you back on again.
Great opportunity. I look forward to coming back.
That's right. Thank you
Wish
again.
everybody the best.
Yeah. Any last words for us from the community, or
Just have a great day. Be careful, drink water, slow down,
there you go.
and see you next time.
You heard it from your captain, y'all. All right, we out of here.